This video is sponsored by Next Level Racing. Prime, Bogey Dope, Tuuvas, and myself, along with other just non-YouTubers that were part of the group that we discuss stuff with, but we're here to talk about general observations. Let's go through it chronologically from day 1 to day 2 to day 3.
Yeah.
And talk about what we saw, what was really good.
Day one, I think we all joined up. I don't know if you guys did, but I went into the convention hall there where they had the all the speakers. It was on Friday. Everybody was doing reveals and stuff, and it was really interesting to see. Most of it obviously was civilian air simulation and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Microsoft Flight Simulator and all that.
Yeah. And they came up with Airbus controllers and different types of yokes and things like that. And then WinWing came out and did their thing, and I thought theirs was really cool. They, in my opinion, stole the show a little bit because their prices were so low.
Yeah, I mean that was the aha moment for a lot of people. It's, wow, that's really good. I mean, portable. I mean, what was it? A whole cockpit for like less than $600 or $800?
Something like that. But it was funny because I felt bad for. I don't remember who was up immediately before them, but whoever was up before them, they were like, and here's a 737 front console or whatever. It's coming at a very competitive price of like $750 or something, and
yeah.
and then WinWing followed, and they're like, here's an entire F-18.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't remember what it was, $400 or something, and then they brought up a stick, and it was I think it was the Ursa Minor's $100, and everybody was just clapping, and everybody's excited. And
I saw a price tag for the Ursa Minor for the civilian version. It was like $84.95 or something like that.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
And that's about on par with it's actually better than my Logitech Wingman Extreme 3D Pro. So
it looks like a great stick.
Yeah, but let's not make this about WinWing. Let's make this about the whole show.
Yeah.
But to follow up with WinWing or finish out with WinWing, I noticed. I mean, when Tony was up there, English is not his native language.
Right.
I still think he did an excellent job. His transitions, I could tell he was having fun with it. That's really good. I'm looking forward to working with that guy. He is based here in the States. He's a commercial airliner pilot in the States. But like I said, English is not his native job, but he was really good. He was instrumental in helping me communicate with everybody at WinWing too. He and Steve and a few others, and Kimmy too. Kimmy's a pilot too in the States.
There was a couple of note that I took notes on. FlightSim.com. The CEO was really funny. I don't know if you remember him. He's making all kinds of jokes. It was really funny. But he was using simulation to train real life pilots or help you towards a pilot license or even a commercial license. It was really cool. It was really cool. He was actually releasing some sticks and yokes and stuff. One of them was a force feedback stick. I think it was for an Airbus. But they're coming out with that thing with 15 Newton meters.
Oh wow!
Peak force.
15.
Wow.
Peak force. Q4 of 2024. And then they had a force feedback rudder coming Q4 of 2024 with greater than 250.
Cool. And for everybody that wasn't there that's listening, the day one, I think the official attendance was allowed in. The people that bought the day one ticket, which there was two packages. There was a Saturday and Sunday package, which I got, and then there was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the Friday
I got.
Yeah, in the Friday package. Tuuvas, did you get the Friday package too? Also?
I did not. I showed up on Friday night, and I was only able to attend Saturday and Sunday.
I was the only one that got to go, huh?
Then we got the opportunity to connect with Nineline and OV1 Kenobi to go to Nellis, to go out to Nellis. We were going to go to the Thunderbird Museum. OV1 got you. Did you go with OV1 and Nineline out to the flight line that night?
Yeah, later that night we all went out. I brought my WinWing stuff because I was going to compare it to the real deal.
Oh, nice.
So,
did you get up there and put it next to next and got some pictures and stuff?
Unfortunately, I couldn't get a press pass. PA is not going to let me take a camera on the line, especially at his squadron, because some of those jets have the ASA upgrade.
ASUS radar.
And so I could not get any cameras on the flight line.
Sure.
So in fact, I had to leave my stick and throttle, wind wing stick and throttle in the car outside the squadron, and then we walked out on the line, got in the cockpit, touched and feel everything, and then took a bunch of notes, went back to the car, opened the door, touched and feel the wind wing stuff, took a bunch of notes, and I'm gonna make a video on it. But yeah, but it was good. It was fun. Got to get 9 line up there. I mean, it's been 15, 16 years since I've sat in the cockpit of a 16, so it was kind of nostalgic for me and my wife.
It's been 30 for me.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was good. Got to sit down. Block 40, which is the block that I crewed. Very familiar cockpit.
I think it was really good for 9 line because he, he's never served in the military. He's never been this close to a jet, other than going to an air show. So I think this was really cool with him.
I offered to get him in the cockpit. I was going to get him in there, and I think he didn't feel comfortable doing that. So we, and neither did my wife. So Ovi went and got a C1 stand and put it next to the cockpit, and I sat in the cockpit and he got to look in. And I was showing him around.
Some people are afraid of ejection seats. Yeah, I'd be afraid just being beside one when it goes off. Nice.
But they were still Block 40s, but they had the gimmicks and everything. I remember the pilots getting all excited because we got that little, in the DCS cockpit, you look over to your left, you get that little magnetron little box sitting there.
Yep.
Thing, we didn't have those until we sent them over to Korea.
Yeah.
And right before we sent them over, they installed all that, and we had never seen that before.
Did they call it a 50-52 block?
I don't think so, because they didn't get everything. They just got that and a few other things.
Because we had block 30s to 32 and at Kunsan, and we did the Combat Edge conversion, which was part of an upgrade. And these were the small mouth Vipers. They didn't have the big engines and stuff, which is the block 30 is the same one that the F-16N is or was when Jello flew it. Speaking of the ASUS radar, if I said that right, did you guys hear the latest episode of the Mover and Gonky show?
No, not yet.
Well, if you get a chance, go to their channel, look at it. The Marine Corps Legacy Hornets are getting that radar. A portion of them. And they're doing this as a stopgap to fill the void while they're receiving F-35s. It's one of those things where if you go listen to it, I don't want to steal their thunder from the show. I'll put a link in my description for it and everything. But if you guys get a chance, go check that out. So that was day one, Friday. Yeah, the combat pilot, the dogfight dynamics.
Well, Combat Pilot is World War II. I don't know if that, Matt, do you not want to?
No,
I don't know if you cared about that or not.
It's another platform. I'm not a DCS channel. We're an air warfare channel, but it is another platform. What would you compare it to that's already out there? Would you compare it to War Thunder and IL-2, or is it a little bit more basic?
No, I would not compare it to War Thunder at all. I would compare it to IL-2 and DCS World War II.
Wow. Yeah.
But I would compare. Let me rephrase that. So don't put that in. I would say to rephrase that, I would compare what they want it to be, what they expect it to be, and what they're driving for.
Right.
To eventually be a competitor to IL-2 and DCS World War II.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
They're not really doing the whole arcadey look.
Yeah.
But it is very much. I would say it's before alpha. It's not even alpha. They don't even have cockpit textures. They don't have flight models more than the basic, of course, right now. So I didn't even get to really fly it because they're like 2 years from even an alpha. So, but they said they're using the Unreal. They didn't. They announced this. This is something that no one knows. Well, now everyone knows, but before the
or they're about
before the Friday Expo. No one knew. They're using the Unreal 5 Plus engine.
Wow, is that experimental or is that release?
I don't know. I've never heard of the 5 Plus.
I haven't heard about the 5
Unreal
Plus.
5.
Yeah.
But that's what they're using. Before that, they wouldn't tell anyone what engine they were using. I think it was. I don't remember who it was. A DCS YouTuber that had I think it may have been Enigma that did a call with them, and they wouldn't tell them what engine they're using. So that's something new. Unreal 5 Plus. They're working on Track IR, VR, and other head tracking right now. They're working on content partnerships. Now, I don't think that means YouTube content creators. What they're meaning is content partnerships like Blackbird simulations to...
Sure.
Well, probably not Blackbird, but people like them, or Raz...
Maybe A to A simulations.
Companies like Razbam and Heatblur, companies like that will make planes for them and maps and things like that.
Terrains. That's pretty cool. That's a good way to do it. They don't have to have that overhead of all those employees. They can actually get a lot of contractors involved. Let me ask you this before we go into the details of the business model. What is the interface in the cockpit? How clickable is everything like DCS, or
I
think that's the plan. But right now, like I said, there's I was looking at it. I was there at their booth, and it was just a green cockpit, no textures, no buttons, nothing yet. So
I watched you from afar.
The plan, though.
And I didn't even want to sit in it because I didn't think it was going to measure up to what I was. I said, you know what? Yeah. I'll check it out later. But I've got my certain sims and games that I play, and I really don't venture out of that because if I do, it takes me away from my gardening and housework, and that gets my wife upset.
Yeah, I talked to them about their future goals because right now I thought it was way too early to. I didn't even want to fly it because I didn't want to have a bad idea of what they're trying to do because it looked so brand spanking, like they had just started working on it. So it's brand spanking new.
Had that new car smell.
Yeah. So
I did the same thing, and I didn't want to do it just like a lot of the other things that we saw there. These weren't things that were ready to go. These were just things that were being featured of what we've got coming and what we have on the near horizon. So but you were saying?
No, I was just. I think it's too early. Honestly, I think they jumped the gun on even going to the expo. To be honest, that's my own personal opinion. But I feel like I would have waited a year before I went to the expo because they really didn't have much yet. So
but
it's coming.
But not in a bad way. We're not trying to bash them or anything.
No.
So combat pilot, and I saw that, and I looked at it from afar, and I saw they had I think it was mostly marketing video that had a lot of information on the screen. And one of the things I don't like on the screen is any type of artificial information on the screen. I want to feel like I'm in the actual cockpit. Even the SRS overlay, I don't even see the need for that in DCS because I have radios that I can look at and see what frequency I'm on. I just look at the dial. I flash the radio and say, oh, I'm on 127.5, or whatever.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know how full fidelity they're going for. It sounds like they kind of want to, but I couldn't tell. They might be. I'm not really sure. I really didn't get too much of a.
Yeah, so I took the screenshot from one of their videos. It gives you a really good idea of just how pre-alpha combat pilot technically is, and when it at least when it comes to the art and assets that are inside the cockpit, it's very early.
Yeah, very early.
Yeah,
but nothing bad. It looks great, very promising, and I'm excited about it. But I just don't. I think it's way too early to even really demo right now.
So
great potential.
Yes. Yeah. So for the people following the channel, you guys have heard Bogey Dope's voice over here before, and you guys know his channel. Tuuvas, tell us a little bit about yourself and how we connected there, because we didn't know each other before. But I tell people, Tuuvas, the Xbox controller guy.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Tuuvas. I'm typically known for playing in DCS World, one of the most complicated combat flight sims you could ever get your hands on today, with an Xbox style controller. Not necessarily an Xbox branded controller, but still that same style of gamepad. And my whole thing with my channel is I want to try and get people who are new to flight sims, new to DCS, and try to get them started on the right track, even if they don't have the money or the devices or whatever. As long as they have an Xbox, PlayStation, or some third-party off-brand controller, as long as it does what an Xbox 360 controller does, then you too can play DCS as well. And I try to help you with that. So that's my whole shtick.
Awesome. I'll put a link to both your channels in the description, and also link your channel trailer videos in the at the end of the video. I'll put it in there as a recommended video to watch. Day one, for 9-line and for the WinWing, for all the setups, we got to go in there, and it was all set up. It was all people were putting stuff together. They were having meetings. I got escorted in, even though I didn't have a ticket. That's when I had my meeting with WinWing, as I heard that they were looking for 2 people to sponsor, and those 2 people just happened to be you and I believe.
Yeah, it was really cool meeting those guys.
And then
great group of people.
And then my contact in China, Max, really great guy. He's in one of the people that's in this picture here that I've got up on the screen now, or I'll have up during the video. But he's Nineline was invited as a guest along with Gabe, who goes by Kelso from Grim Reapers. He was there. It was nice to meet him. He's a U.S.-based Grim Reapers contributor on the channel, as well as Daniel Drake, who is a blogger, has a website over at WordPress, and he's all about controllers and stuff. Kind of similar. Tuuvas, you're not really just all about Xbox controllers, but that's kind of your niche. But you have a full setup. You have a basic sim pit, don't you?
Yeah, correct. I have all Virpil gear.
Team Virpil, yay!
Yeah, expensive.
I went and saw them.
It cost me a fortune, and my fiance hates me. But
yeah, Virpil's good stuff though.
And then Bogey, we got to meet your wife. She is a rock star. I can't believe
the commander.
Yeah, she is. She is definitely.
Yeah, she is.
I can tell she used to be a fighter pilot in a former life.
Yes.
She reminds me of that. Yeah. Tell her I said that. So, so day one we were setting up. I had a meeting with WinWing. You and I both met with them, and I don't know if you knew this, but I was undecided for the first day. They told me what they could provide for me, and I told them what I expected from them as far as being able to accept my honesty, my feedback, and actually working on stuff. So we went. What did we do on Friday night? I know Friday. What did we do Friday night? You guys went back out to the flight line Friday night, didn't you?
Flight line with me, the wife, and Nineline.
We did not get into the Thunderbird Museum. It was base holiday week.
Yeah, Saturday was when we all met up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was the day that I took to think about the contract. Not the contract. We don't have a contract with them. We just had an agreement, a gentleman's agreement. But I got to think about the sponsorship. But I used Saturday to go around and see all of the other vendors because I wanted to see what Moza had. I wanted to see what Virpil had. I did not see BKB there.
I did not.
No,
I didn't
me neither.
I didn't see BKB. I saw a few other small companies. Does anybody stand out as far as people that had hardware that would go in our genre of fighter jet sim, type stuff?
A lot of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, but a lot of it varied in price ranges. Like you have everything from like really cheap, like Yaman Aero controller. I mean,
yeah,
relatively speaking cheap because it's actually kind of an expensive controller at $200, but then you go all the way up to like these motion rigs and things like that. So there's a huge turnout.
Yeah, a ton of them. As who took the cake as far as integrated sims with electronics and controls? Who was it? What do you guys think was number one in that department?
With like a full-on sim pit, or
yeah, but it was not.
There's only one.
Which one?
Only one.
What was that?
Dogfight Simulations, I think was what it was called, or
a Dogfight Dynamics.
Dogfight Dynamics.
That's
yes.
It.
Yep.
Goodness.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
So I watched them, and I was actually coaching a guy on a Case 1 recovery over his shoulder and everything, and then that's when I noticed that they had their carrier wasn't going fast enough, and I also noticed that there wasn't enough chop in the ocean to indicate there was any wind. They were using DCS, so I actually emailed them today and gave them my Syria carrier cruise, which has all the tankers, the ships, the range where you can go drop bombs. I said, hey, all you got to do is pick the skins you want, plug in the aircraft where you want it, at the altitudes and the headings, and enjoy. And because they had asked me for that, because I told them, I says, well, one of the things that's hard about this ship landing is you have no wind and the boat's barely moving. I mean, it was going like 10 knots. So it had a really short wake, and when I'm in the Case 1 pattern, I really use that wake as a guide. That's why when EDO updated the wake about a year ago, or a little bit less than a year ago, I was hoping to see more froth. I wanted to see more deep blue water. If you look at some of Growler Jam's videos, if you see Pale's videos, the EA18 Growler guy, you can see him coming across that wake, and it looks like mad water. It's mad, and it's longer. The wake is longer. But if you do that in a computer game, now you've got a lot of more bits, bytes, and nibbles being used up,
Well, the pit itself was beautiful. A lot of it was WinWing, but there was also, I would say, 50% or 60% of it was... Oh, what was the name of the guy that did the rest of that stuff there?
Tech Creations. I can't remember.
Tech Creations. Yep.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up his name though.
Yeah.
He does great work. Looks really, really good. The panels for the F-18. It was a full-on F-18 pit.
Even had
all
the
panels,
canopy arch and the
one-to-one.
mirrors.
Yep.
It even had the mirror arch and everything. It was bolted on. I do have, and the customers will see it in this video here that I'm showing now. I do have that. I didn't get any steel pictures, but I've got their card. I talked with the CEO and co-founder Rodrigo, and I believe they're out of Spain or Portugal. Do you know where they're from?
I think probably Spain.
I think so.
I believe.
I know he speaks Portuguese, but I mean,
Oh, okay, maybe
is it Portuguese? I think it was.
Sure.
You know,
It was.
they could have been out of Brazil too.
He's right now it's just the F-18, but they are planning to work on a 16-pit next.
Yeah, and this is, and I don't think in any way this is a competition with Dogfight Boss, or Viper Wing out of Poland. I don't. This is not on that same level. I mean, those are $50,000 to $80,000 sim pits, and this is. I think he told me basically what you see there, it was about 10 grand.
Something I did learn, so not only are they working on an F-16 pit, but they're also working on, and this will be really interesting, an Apache sim pit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meaning 2 cockpits, like front and back.
Yeah.
So another company that kind of flew under the radar, I think, just because they were a presence at the show, but they weren't really like telling everyone they were there. I mean, there were signs up, but it was hard to notice if you weren't looking for them, and that's SimFab.
Oh yeah.
Are you guys familiar?
Actually, SimFab did a really good thing. I'm glad you brought them up. Go ahead. Yep.
No, yeah. So they were the ones who set up a lot of the mounts for like Virpil or all the VR section where everyone was playing in the Pimax crystal headsets.
That was a partnership.
Like Yeah, that was. Sorry, what was that?
That was a partnership.
Yes.
So
they were able to.
They vended
they were
together.
Able to set up all these mounts with like Virpil and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what WinWing did with Eagle Dynamics. People were asking, where was Eagle Dynamics during the show? We didn't see an Eagle Dynamics booth. And I said, well, they're actually merged with WinWing for this show, and so the 9 line, one of the community managers over there, if you want to go complain, he's right there. And but you know who else did this same thing that SimFab did? By the way, before we go off SimFab, so I actually went over to SimFab and Pimax. I was actually there for Pimax, and I asked for the Pimax point of contact because Prickly Hedgehog 72 asked me to tell the Pimax people he said hi. So as soon as I said, they hooked me up with Carol from Pimax, and she's in part 1. She's the girl that's doing the thumbs up with me in the video and everything. Carol goes, I go, Prickly Hedgehog on YouTube told me to tell you hello. And she goes, oh, you know, and she mentioned his first name, like right off the top of her head. She knew him that well.
That's awesome.
I'm looking at, I was surprised that I didn't see anybody from Big Screen VR there.
Yeah.
I wish we could have had that.
Did you guys get to play with the Moza stick?
I did. Briefly.
A little bit, yeah.
Briefly.
So I'm curious what you guys experienced, because when I sat down in it, I didn't feel any force feedback at all. The only thing I felt was if you stalled at the air, and they were using War Thunder. Yeah, but if you stalled the plane, it would shake the stick a little bit, but that's it. I felt no force feedback. Did you guys get, like, maybe it wasn't working for me? I just felt like it was a dud of a demo.
I kind of felt like it was just, I felt a little bit of resistance moving back and forth and a little bit of the drag, but it didn't seem consistent with the flight of what I was doing in flight. It didn't seem...
I didn't even feel that.
I mean, I've done some aggressive maneuvering before, and I've done a little bit of aerobatics in an RV8 and a Texas tail dragger. I've actually felt the controls change as I changed different parts of the flight profile. So it might have been War Thunder. It might have just been too early. It might have been the software. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. Tuuvas, what was your experience?
Yeah, it was basically along the same lines. What it felt like to me, at least if I try to like back it up and think of it from like a software quality assurance testing standpoint, it felt like what they had implemented was kind of a default static profile where it's
Sure.
not
Yes.
necessarily force feedback. But it was just simulating as if it was just like a normal set of springs.
Yep.
That's exactly what I thought.
It was more of just a demonstrator performance, and I think they were just announcing what's coming. And like I said, I got beat up on my last video, or the other video I did on them, and I went back and watched that video last night because I wanted to see where some of these guys were coming from, and I realized that they are hardcore Moza race car guys that said, "Don't be bashing my wife," or don't be looking at my girlfriend across the bar. But it's like you can't just be honest of what you saw. And I tell people, it says one I was accused of being showing favoritism to WinWing, and I says, what? I didn't even accept WinWing's offer until after I went around and looked at everybody else's, and I wasn't trying to compete with WinWing for offers for sponsorship. I just wanted to make sure WinWing's product was what I thought it was. And I wanted to make sure that it was. I wanted to see what they were, because they did the reveal. When I invest stock, when I give my brand or my name or my reputation behind something, I'm investing in that company just like if I was going to purchase their stock. So I'm going to do my due diligence. But so many people accuse me of just like, oh, you signed a contract with WinWing, now you're bashing the competition. I said I didn't bash anybody. If you go back and watch it, I didn't.
Well, I didn't have. I was excited to try Moza. I was actually very anxious to see it and feel it. I don't think that their demo was fair to what the product is. I have a feeling.
And the reputation of the brand. I think they're a golden company.
No, it's got to be.
They're in the top dog.
I don't think they were ready, to be honest. I think the demo just was a dud of a demo. They could have. I don't think they were ready. That's all it was.
We saw that at other
video. Somebody did a video of their experience, and it was at the same booth. It was there at the expo. They did. I forget the guy's name of the YouTube channel, but he did a video on it, and he was saying he felt it, and he was like showing the video next to his hand. But I'm not seeing any type. You can kind of see in someone's hand when they're pulling. I didn't see it, but he said he could feel it. I didn't feel anything, but that doesn't. It just feels. I feel bad saying that because I know it's probably a great product. And it probably will be once they have the drivers in place or the software in place. But right at the demo at the expo, my personal experience was I didn't feel anything until I stalled, and then it would shake the stick. But that's all it did. And I've got video of it, and that's all it did. But like Tuuvas said, it felt like my Virpil with springs. That's all it felt like to me.
Well, and that's a kind of an important point too. If you have force feedback, you don't need haptic vibrators in it because you can simulate that with the force feedback. You can get that.
Right. Yeah, and keep in mind, like even products like WinWing, for example, they have haptic feedback, which is like the rumble motors you would find in like an Xbox controller, where it responds to in-game events and says, "Hey, are you firing a gun? So let me rumble based on how long you're holding down the fire button."
Yep.
In this case, but like in order to do that, you have to read events coming from the game and then turn that into signals or into responses that are in the device you're holding.
Right.
So it's entirely possible that Moza just didn't have that set up yet. So even though it's capable of doing it, they just haven't implemented the responses just yet as of the expo.
And it could be, and a lot of companies satisfy the lack of something like that from the software provider. A lot of times they will do that with a plug-in, like Butt Kicker does that. They have a plug-in to help take what is available for telemetry data from DCS to make it, and that's my only complaint about Butt Kicker is their Haptic Connect software isn't ready to go yet, and it's been a year now. They released it a year ago, April, so it's been going on a year and a half, and it hasn't been updated to the point. And I don't get me started. Like I said, when I get this new sim pit set up and everything, 3 things I'm going to do. I'm going to go to voice attack. Going into that, I'm going to go to the sim shaker for aviators, and no, I am not going to go into VR yet. And for me, I don't know. I've flown in VR before. I didn't like it. I didn't. It's like, I don't fly with a baseball hat on either, so I don't use TrackNOIR. I use FaceTrackNOIR. I really want to get something organic for head tracking, and I will go to VR when MR, mixed reality. I thought that the personal connection we made was with everybody was kind of the highlight of the show. As a matter of fact, it overshadowed all the equipment to me. seeing these people that were passionate about the products they were selling, and then seeing the people that were passionate about enjoying those was just overwhelming to me.
Yeah,
in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, a whole expo full of like-minded people.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely a cult.
Speaking of cult, do you mind if I share my very first experience with the expo the moment I sat down to eat my breakfast there?
No, please do.
So walked in. So first I met up with you guys over in the hall that's just outside the doors.
Yep. That was Saturday morning. Yep.
Yeah. Then we walked through the doors. You said, "Hey, so what do you guys want to check out first?" I said, "I want to eat first because I am starving." So I headed straight off to the breakfast burrito that I regretted getting. But when I got that, sat down, ate my burrito, started drinking my coffee, and a couple of guys that also came to the expo said, "Hey, can I sit here?" And the first guy sat down, and the first thing he did was pull out a Polaroid of his flight sim setup, saying, "So I don't want to brag, but here's my setup."
Oh man!
And shows it off. It's like I'm not good with commercial aviation or anything like that. It was probably like some 747 cockpit setup. It was just like one side of the pit just meant for the pilot. And he was telling me, "Yeah, this costs such and such, this amount, like some 5-figure dollar amount."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." And in the back of
he
my
hasn't
head,
even
I'm
said
like,
hello yet.
What's that?
And he didn't even say hello to you yet.
No. That was his way of saying hello. And then the next guy sat down to my right, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. All right, then let me show you mine." He didn't pull out a picture. He didn't pull out his phone. He pulled out a tablet with a video presentation of his $75,000 2-seat Boeing cockpit.
Wow.
Well, he's got to one-up him, see.
Yeah.
And not only was it a full presentation, like he did a whole panoramic view of the video just to capture all of it, and it was picture in picture. He needed another video in his video to show the different parts of his cockpit.
Yep.
Goodness.
It was crazy.
And
then
I've met people like that.
How do I follow this up? I'm like, well, so I have my controller. I pulled out my Xbox controller from my bag.
Did you also hook it up to your little mini computer?
I did. That was actually what I showed them. It was like, yeah, I already have DCS running on this. So I pulled out my...
All you needed was the Apple headsets. You need that new Apple headset. Hook it up. Yeah.
Yeah, get the, what's it called? Big screen VR or whatever the heck.
Oh, I think that's going to be phenomenal. I think it's lightweight, it's low profile, it's low footprint. It's really, I don't even know if it needs telemetry towers or...
No, it does. Unfortunately, it does. It doesn't. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't
Single
do
or multiple
tracking. It still needs Lighthouse. And it's, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Technically, you can only use one Lighthouse, but for the sake of consistent tracking, depending on what you're doing, obviously. For
it's just like 3D nav. Just so you guys know, and I think you already know this because you were there, but so the people listening know, we went to lunch with WinWing at about 3 o'clock on Saturday, and it was just to catch something good to eat because the show was still going on. But some of the guys took us down there and bought us lunch, and that's when I agreed to do their thing. When I went back to the table, you remember when we got to the WinWing table the first time, and they had all these patches, flight patches out, squadron round patches of their different. I got the Taurus, the Orion, the Ursa Minor, which I'm going to give with the squadron. The patch will go to the squadron, and then I got their wing. Their little keychain wing, but it looks like it's embroidered wing with a keychain attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to wear my flight suit because I didn't want to be like Belgio and look too into it. As a matter of fact, your wife said if I would have known it was cosplay, I would have dressed up. And so I show up on Sunday morning with my WinWing patches, and the WinWing guys just lit up. And that's where we got the picture from. That I posted or sent to you guys and everything, and I tell you what, those guys are really confident and passionate about their product.
Yes, they are.
I didn't detect. As a matter of fact, I think they were kind of nervous a little bit about Moza with force feedback because their force feedback wasn't to go, or WinWing's force feedback wasn't ready to go. It was obvious. And
they didn't even have a demo of it. It was just sitting there moving around on its own yet.
Do you remember what the sign said?
No.
do not touch. And so, you know, like I said, I'm not claiming that, you know, in my reviews of other people's force feedback in the future, I'm not claiming that WinWing's got it solved yet. I'm just saying, if you look at their reputation as far as flight gear, and it's not always just been the gamer flight gear, you know, their full up simulator type stuff. You know, it's really, I think it's a good time to be an aviation flight sim for everybody, for the manufacturers across the board, for enthusiasts like us. If we can keep prices down, you know, and that's where WinWing stands out.
Yeah, they're able to produce products for a lot cheaper.
Well, they offer, I think, you know, I've got a survey out now, and I hope some guys listening to this that haven't taken the survey yet, go over to our community tab, scroll down a couple of posts, and click in there. You know, I picked the 4 major players that we saw, or at least that are represented. I even put VKB in there because they make a quality HOTAS system. Mm-hmm. Virpil, to me, and a little bit on VKB, it's kind of like Virpil's niche is helicopters and Soviet-era fighters, to me. I mean, that's the biggest part of the representation.
I agree. I have a Virpil. I love it. It's a great one. I got the Constellation, and then I've got the Virpil throttle. But their stick, I think I agree with you on the MiG, because it's designed after I think it's the MiG-29 stick, isn't it?
Yeah,
the actual one.
It's either that or this Su-27. I think
one of them. Yeah,
it's either Fulcrum or Flanker. Yeah. The Flanker's
just like it.
Yep.
In fact, I think their upcoming grip is literally called Flanker minus the A and like minus the vowels.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the ones we were looking at the expo actually had Cyrillic writing on it and stuff.
Yeah. And they must have had what I thought were some prototypes or some demonstrations about some of the press molding stuff, because I noticed they had some sticks where all the buttons were all solid black. They didn't have anything on them and everything. And I think that was just to show people the quality of the manufacturing and the tooling and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But price-wise, you know, I'm going to do some videos here in the future about the Orion 2 base with the F-15EX throttle heads, because it's phenomenal. I need to go through and count it, but I saw somebody online had said you got like 72 options, 72 buttons that you can do. Yeah. 72 things or something. I might be exaggerating that much. I just can't remember exactly how much it was. So we'll check that out and see what's going to happen with that. Anything you guys think we should mention from the show that we haven't talked about?
Beam eye tracker. I don't know if you guys...
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Beam eye tracker is, in my opinion, a fantastic competitor to Tobii.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that the price point, all you need is to buy their software, and then as long as you have a webcam, and I asked him, what is the lowest quality webcam you can use? And he said if you even have something that's what is it, 640p or something, or 480p, that's it, 480p, it'll still work. Although he would recommend 1080p 60 frames at for best performance.
HD.
Yeah. But that's what you don't need 8K. You don't need, just 1080p 60 frames would be ideal, or 30 frames it'd even work. It would be fine as well. But all you need is a webcam and his software. That's it. You're not paying, for the I don't remember how much Tobii's sensor bar is, but you don't have to have that whole sensor bar.
Yeah. Which is kind of hard to place depending on your monitor setup and everything.
Yeah, it has to be underneath, and if you have a curved monitor like me, you have to have that little bracket. Yep. So, but
280.
And I'll get
280. Is that it?
I'll get a link.
280 for the Tracker 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Bogey Dope. I'll get a link to your review too. Do you still have it up online? Your review to the Tobii.
For Tobii?
Yeah. I'll get a link for that for this video.
It's awesome. I love Tobii because then I don't have a headset on my head. I can just sit there like nothing on my head, no hat, no sensors, no infrared lights, nothing, just my face. It's really nice it's very freeing. Yeah. But it is $280, so
that's really good in summertime when it's hot, and even though you have your air conditioning on, you know how it is. You're in the Sierras. I'm up in the Oregon Highlands, and it gets warm. I mean, air conditioner doesn't kick in until it hits like 72, And a lot of times, if it's 70 degrees, it'll get a little sticky under that headset.
Yeah, and Beam Eye Tracker, $30.
Oh,
right now it's on sale on Steam, 20% off for $24. So it's huge difference in price. Does essentially the same thing. It's not exact, obviously, but essentially the same concept.
And it gives you head tracking and it gives you eye tracking and head tracking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's very surprising.
Yeah, I got to play with it in the booth. It was there at the expo. It was very, very impressive for what it is. I was very impressed. Yeah, I want to play with it because my problem with Toby and other face tracking is when you zoom in on a button in the cockpit, you get that jitter. It's like moving around trying to, and so I haven't gotten to play with Beam to see if it does that when you zoom in. All he had was Microsoft Flight Simulator for his demo, and I couldn't figure out how to zoom it in. So
now, are you talking about zoom like move your head forward, or are you talking about zoom with the slider?
Zoom with the slider.
Cheater.
Yeah, I know you don't like that, but that's what I do to look at buttons because I can't see very well.
Yeah, I tell you what, the reason that I'm slowly getting bigger and bigger screens is because I am at the point now where if my monitor is closer than 2 feet, I have to wear reading glasses to be able to read the panels. And I had 2015, 2017 vision when I got my pilot license, and I was like, I had really good eyesight for a long time, and I just got that, turned 40, when I turned 40 a couple years ago, like 20 years ago, I started noticing I had to hold stuff farther and farther away, and now I'm out to 2 feet and stuff. So it's just part of growing old. But the 55-inch TV that I have now is going to be great with that. It's going to look good with the new seat or the new seat rig and everything. So I'm going to go over there and buy Beam Eye Tracker now. It was $30 on sale, or 30? Is it lower than that?
No, 24 on sale.
24 on sale. I'm going to go get that right now.
You can also go to the website. He's got a sale going on, 20% off if you use promo code SUMMER24 for the next 7 days.
Is that equivalent to the Steam price?
I don't know.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Hang on. Steam is 20%. Oh yeah, it's the same price.
I'm going to go to the website
from him or Steam. It's up to you.
So just a little tip for those of you guys listening, if you didn't know this, any manufacturer or any software developer that sells a product on Steam takes 30% of their profit right off the top. That's 30% is their commission. So if you really want to support the companies, try to buy direct. That's one of the reasons I switched over to DCS Standalone, is they give us back a portion of that in the miles bonus program, but I do believe in buying direct from the vendor and not going through a third party that's going to mark it up. Hey guys, thanks for doing this with me. I know we put it off for a couple of days trying to. We couldn't get everybody together on one. We were going to get Ismail Horda. We were trying to get Ismail here, but he just started a 3-week vacation. But we met him and his wife. They're also in the video that I posted. He actually shared some of his B-roll with me, and I shared him my B-roll of the dinner. So he's going to put that. He put that in his video and everything. I thought it was pretty cool. And but yeah, if you and your wife want to practice your Spanish, his is in Spanish. If you haven't seen it,
I know.
I watched it with subtitles, but it was pretty good. He's such a good presenter.
He's a great guy. We were talking to him at that dinner. It was really, really cool to meet him.
He's another guy that I recognize from his name because he's commented on a lot of my videos. He recognized me at the WinWing booth, so he came over and talked to me. And then I didn't realize he was also in our group, and so it was really neat. Kelso from the Grim Reapers, he's a really great guy. I know you guys listen to the channel know that I'm not a big fan of the Grim Reapers channel, and it's just because I'm not into that genre of gaming. I'm in, I'm into the mill sim, realistic sim type stuff and everything. Nothing wrong with their channel. I'm more aligned with the guys that have touched the mission, like Bogey Dope and others. This week I got to meet up with Chain. For those guys that have been following the Air Warfare group, know Chain is the one that he's used to be a tanker pilot. He's now an airline pilot for Southwest, and he's the one that does a lot of our voice work. So other than that, I can't think of anything. Tuuvas, thanks for coming, bud.
Yeah, of course. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and Bogey Dope, as always, anything you need from me, you got it.
Yeah.
You guys going to be around tonight just to chit-chat?
I gotta go grocery shopping, but probably afterwards.